Welcome back to another episode of Unbound and Awakened. I'm your host, Poonam Pramnath, and this show is all about exploring stories, breakthrough, and soul aligned journeys of incredible individuals who are reshaping what it means to live a life of purpose, passion, and impact. It's my absolute pleasure to sit down with community leaders, visionaries, and change makers to go beyond the surface and uncover the deeper truth behind their work, their energy, and the path that's brought them here. And today's guest is someone that truly embodies that spirit. Dr. Payal Patel is a board certified pediatrician for over 24 years of experience. She's also the founder of Sunshine Pediatrics of Florida. Beyond the stethoscope, she's also a powerhouse behind BollySoulFit, which is a dynamic movement that began during pandemic and has since grown into a full-blown platform for dance, fitness, community healing, and personal transformation. From hosting soulful retreats and Garba workshops to leading her tribe into spotlight at New York Fashion Week, Payal is redefining what it means to be an empty nester, a community leader, and a woman who's fueled by purpose. In today's conversation, we'll dive into her journey from medicine to movement, the inspiration behind Body Soul Fit, the transformation stories of women she's worked with, and the sacred balance she's found between tradition, family, and self expression. Get ready to be inspired. This is a conversation about energy, reinvention, and rising fully into your power. Let's dive in. Payal, I really want to thank you for the honor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Poonam. I'm glad to be here with you today.
Awesome. So basically, I want to start from your journey, right? You've been a pediatrician, Payal, for over 2 decades. What inspired you to launch Bolly Soul during pandemic? How did that evolve into your passion project?
So, Poonam, I have always loved fitness since I was myself about 12 years old because
Hmm.
of the same struggles that I faced with weight. It doesn't seem like it now, but it has been definitely a long journey when it came to that. So I was basically wondering as to why is it that I can't lose weight? It was more of a transformational journey, even for myself, and definitely a learning journey. And so, therefore, I did do my own fitness, but then I wanted to motivate others. And pandemic was a great time because, of course, everybody was at home. And then I used to be a Zumba instructor and also did my own fitness classes back then too. But then it transformed into something that was online. People were searching for ways to connect, for ways to stay fit during the pandemic, and that was a wonderful opportunity despite, the havoc that the pandemic had created.
No, that's awesome. It's like you didn't just work do this for yourself. You brought the whole community along with you, and that's what's incredible about how you've shaped the whole thing. But for somebody who's hearing about Soul Fit for the first time, right? How would you describe the essence of what it is beyond fitness?
So BollySoulFit started with the fitness and the Bollywood platform because it was a realization that, of course, Bollywood being our industry in India, was a big motivational factor as well in terms of even fitness. But then it transformed into what does everybody want? As the pandemic was getting over in terms of, people were not staying at home, how is it that I'm going to continue to motivate them to do beyond what they're capable of or realize that this is what they're capable of. And that's where it became more about retreats. It became more about get togethers, about larger events, living larger than life. And that's what now I'm doing with everyone. So.
Yeah, no, sounds like it's a complete experience for anybody who's part of the whole platform. And, speaking of Zumba, I love Zumba myself, and most of the music in Zumba is Latin music, and that's what I loved about, workouts with you is you are weaving in Bollywood into it, and you're also bringing the cultural element of Garba into it, which we'll talk later in the conversation. But I really admire all the things that you're doing to give a complete experience for any woman, right? So you've taken dancing, kickboxing, yoga, you're doing strength training, meditation, and even book clubs. Why is it so important for you to build something that would honor somebody's complete mind, body, soul experience?
I believe it was more about exactly that. What one factor is an influence or a motivator for one person is not the same for another. Knowing that we're all different in terms of what we are striving to do. Somebody wants to read a book, they want to better themselves. Well, okay, so let's create a book club. It was also a way to motivate myself to read, as well as, of course, create a women empowerment movement with books and a self-improvement platform. And that's really, the driving force behind the books. And then when it came to everything else, it was like, well, how can I get more women involved? Something will call to them. And that's really the goal of doing everything that I have now incorporated into BollySoulFit.
I like that because most book clubs that I know of, they generally read stories or fiction and nonfiction type of books. And here you're talking self-help books, transformation books, which is really refreshing because you don't see that much in the Indian community. And what it does is it brings a sense of belonging for the women as well as they're growing in their journey and they have a safe space to share their life with. So I think that's an incredible way for you to transition into a book club. I really like what you shared. Do you want to share a little bit about stories of some women that may have come to you feeling like they don't belong somewhere? How do you think what's changed for them through this experience with you?
Definitely. Some of the women that came to me in the beginning, it was definitely more for fitness and dance. So everybody had a different just a different view, in terms of what they wanted out of Bali Soul Fit. Some came to dance, others came for the fitness element of it. I know quite a few women, that joined because they were looking to lose weight. They were looking to, of course, make that transformational journey. And so I know a handful of women that definitely 90, like one person lost 90 pounds, another person lost maybe 20 pounds or 15 pounds, or they just wanted to work out together. And that's really what it was about. It wasn't just about, oh, you need to lose a certain amount of weight or whatever it is, but it was more of their own journey. What did they want out of it? And until they took control of what they really were striving for, it wasn't going to happen. BollySoulFit served as a motivational platform. And so, of course, it is more of an inner journey. And that's really what I believe BollySoulFit supports.
That's so beautiful, and given the fact that you have a background in medicine, so more than anybody, I'm sure you understand what that inner journey is all about. And bringing holding people accountable is the big thing because nothing changes unless you do, right? So I think
Right.
that's where part of it is bringing everybody together, which also when you're part of the sisterhood, each one holds each other accountable. So it's the whole platform that's creating that experience for anybody joining. So I think you've designed also you've moved into designing clothes now. I think you had the New York Fashion Week
Yeah.
recently, which is not an easy experience. What was that like for you, for your tribe? What was going on through, in your heart behind the scenes?
Uh, it was definitely challenging. It was a task. It was a journey that I really wanted to take on. So that came easily, because it's more of a, something that I wanted to do for a long time. And here I was definitely making outfits for my dances and performing dances. So I was definitely involved in that element already. and there are outfits that I would create for myself. So it was something that I was already doing, and I was like, well, why not make this a larger than life? And that's what BollySoulFit is about, is a larger than life experience, and involve all my BollySoulFitters in there. And that's really what just brought it on. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do this, and that's it, and then it became more of a 6 month journey for myself since I started, and it was a lot of work. It was definitely, a lot of work at times with everything that I had going on with the practice, as well as the Bali Soulfit classes, everything else that I do. And then I took this project on. So,
Yeah, and I was also part of the journey cheering you guys from the crowd, and I've seen everything that the effort that had gone into it. And I come from a design background myself, so I know the struggles you may have had even working with people to get the stuff done. And whoever hasn't, followed her on Instagram, please do. There are several posts that she has about how beautifully the show was showcased and the way she's groomed all of her Bollywood soul fitters. And it was amazing to watch each of them walking on stage so confidently, so much in their essence of who they are. And you took everything and beautifully packaged it so well for the audience, which was extremely well received. I was so proud of everything that the work that you had done. I want to switch gears a little bit now, Payal. I want to talk a little bit about your annual retreats. Okay, tell us what happens there. How do you craft such a beautiful spectrum of healing experience for women? I mean, I'm just, at awe with all the larger than life experiences that you're providing to people. So tell us what happens in the retreat.
Um, if you know what, everything happens in the retreat. In terms of when we started, which was about, I think 2021 was our first retreat post COVID. It was definitely still a struggling time, but Sedona was our first retreat that happened, and I think the energy that it generated, and I think what an amazing first trip to have, just the element of Sedona and, the energy that it already has became a positive, vibrant energy for Bali Soulfit. So every single trip of ours has been a little bit different. And main thing is bringing people of all different walks of life together. There are women that, they've been through whatever it is, whether it's death of a family member or a divorce or whatever element it is, it didn't matter. Nobody was being judged. It was more of let's come together and make this an amazing trip. And so it incorporated dance, it incorporated yoga, it incorporated dressing up, and whether it was in white or pink or whatever colors that we chose. And everything was like, what's next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen today? And that's really what we wanted to do. Our last trip was Seattle. And of course, we went to the tulip fields, which was amazing. And that was something that was on my own bucket list. And I was like, you know what? We're all going as Bali Soul Fit. So whoever wants to join, it just became something that was just phenomenal and out of this world experience for everyone. So,
Oh, that's beautiful. And I've heard, I mean, I have personal friends that you know of who have joined the retreat. And what I've heard is you do things like vision boarding. You've also done an exercise where women dress up in I think the flying dress or something like that in a
yeah.
beautiful location. So, how is it helping them with those exercises?
It's seeing what is out of their element. A lot of women, will never do the flying dress on their own. It wasn't something, and Sedona was one of those opportunities, just came together where I was like, well, here I was like, I want to do the flying dress. Well, we're all going to do the flying dress, and because it was a retreat, we're all going to do it together. And so everybody was awed in terms of like, I would never do this. Yeah, that's true. And so therefore we are doing it, and so that was definitely you know, that element of surprise, that element of we can do this. So yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, no, I think, growth happens when you put yourself in situations like this and you stretch yourself, you know, outside it looks like you're creating a sort of situation where people are able to think outside of the box, and moving them outside their comfort zone. Which I think is incredible because I've seen all the pictures too. So it's beautiful how the whole thing's come together. And you had some of those that you were sharing at the New York Fashion Week as well. Watching all of those images where I could see the whole story that you have created through this platform right there. And you just didn't do this. You're also bringing cultural celebration into the whole wellness experience that you're giving to people. These are like the Garba workshops. And then you also bring women into the Durga Puja. Like, how have these traditions shaped your identity, Payal? Why is it important for you to share this with everyone?
Garba is very close to my heart, of course. You know, growing up, I was definitely always the Garba queen, going in first and staying till last. That was always something that I did. And realizing that some women cannot, they were not able to do this and they wanted to do this, brought on that experience. Well, why not share my love and my passion for doing Garba and share it with women, that want to learn? And every year I look forward to this time of the year just because of these workshops that I do. Usually it's two or three workshops, and which teaches basics as well as advanced and Bollywood,
Hmm.
because that is what
Hmm.
BollySoulFit is about. And so
Hmm.
it became more of like, well, I'm going to definitely get everybody involved. And it became more of like, hey, we're going to go to this Garba together. And so
Yes.
everybody come there, and it's just a community effort that, it's like, let's get together, let's learn together, let's change together.
That's awesome. And I've been part of your workshops as well. And I did attend a Gurba yesterday. You were not in the picture, but the story that I was telling everybody was I'm so much more confident as doing the steps because there were the 8 step, the 6 steps that you've taught us, the dodio and everything. I was able to join the group. Before, I was always somebody who would quietly watch them, only join when the steps were simple. But now I can gracefully handle the difficult steps and participate in the experience. So I want to thank you for you providing that, and anybody who would like to join. I think you mentioned that on your Facebook feeds and on Instagram feeds about the workshop, right? So if you haven't participated in that, I can attest the fact that it's a beautiful experience that she provides. So also, I want to touch a little bit, Payal, on what it means to be an empty nester. And you're rewriting the story, what it means to be an empty nester, right?
Yes.
What does this phase of life mean to you now? Like now that you've transformed it in such a beautiful way, like tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, a lot of women tend to revolve around their families, which is, of course, key. And I did the same thing. I was there cooking in the morning. My husband would always comment that, my God, you have five gases on, making gourmet lunches and breakfast for my kids. And of course, that was something that I wanted to do at that time. And then once they left, here we were, didn't have that much to do in terms of, responsibilities with children. But then that doesn't mean we limit ourselves. I think it's a time of discovery for a lot of women. It's a time of discovery in terms of, what do I want to do? What am I? Who's Payal or who's Poonam? That's important to know, because we kind of lose our identity, along the way, just because we are serving our family. And that's not a bad thing. That's an awesome thing, that we just wear so many hats as women. But when time comes and we're empty nesters, what are we going to do? Is it that we're going to sulk, and say, oh my God, now what do I do? No, there's a lot of things you can do. And that's really what Body Soul Fit is. It's just that, that involvement that we want, and women to understand that they are capable of so much, and they should enjoy their life when they come into that empty nest phase.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you brought this up because it is a huge identity shift and a cultural shift for women that you're creating. Because what it ends up happening is because your identity is so attached to being a mom, that you cling to your children and you seek so much out of them, and then I feel like we don't give them enough space for them to go do what they need to do. So we're not growing in the process. The kids are held back in the process, and then there's always that war that happens with in between. And when you explore more of your own gifts and create something beautiful out of it, it becomes a healthier dynamic in the household too. I'm sure your kids are very proud of all the things that you do because I've seen you. I think they've even danced with you on the stage at one point, right?
Yes, yes, they are dancers, and I think it's nice because I think my whole family is a dancing family. So is my husband. So it works, and I think they definitely got those dancing genes. So, and they take it to that next level that they do. So it's nice.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about, your relationship with your husband, your children. I don't know, I've seen your mom a
Something
few
that
times
doesn't
as
get talked
well.
about on BollySoulFit much, just because the platform is all about the community and and the women that are there. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely. I mean, I have a lot of support, and I'm blessed to have that. Whether it's from my BollySoulFitters or my own family, because the amount of things that I do, and of course at times, it may seem like I'm uninvolved in the family aspect, but no, that's not necessarily true. I think it's just their support. They know that this is important to me. The dance element, the fitness element, everything else that I do, the experiences and retreats, it has a meaning, and that's what I like to let them know. Or definitely, with my husband, he's very supportive in what I do. And I think it works vice versa. We're very supportive of each other's, goals or each other's dreams that we want to live up to that. And now is the time, I mean, we're empty nesters, and so we're doing it. My children, yeah, definitely. Sometimes they do call me a little crazy, when it comes to that, but it's fun. They understand their mother, and they definitely respect the fact that I'm doing what many women may not be doing and motivating others, to join in this journey. So,
No, that's nice to hear, and I can attest to the fact because I've met Payal's mom so many times during Garba. Such a sweet, loving soul. And I saw your husband in action too as a supportive husband during New York Fashion Week. And I saw how he was part of your vision, trying to support you, help you with all the pictures and make you feel like there's a rock behind you as because there are a lot of things that you have to manage and you need a good support system that can help you move through all of the challenges that you're facing as you're helping the and supporting the cause. So, that's nice. Nice to hear all the things that you just shared about your family. So I know it's a lot that you're talking about, right? You also have a full-time medical practice. What I want to talk a little bit about is how do you, because you're stretched between your
yeah.
practice, between Bali Soul Fit, and of course your responsibilities with your family. So what are some of the reset things that you do on a daily basis you think that can help someone? Like how do you take a step back and give yourself that space so you can think through clearly your next steps?
Sometimes everything is intertwined, when it comes to that. Yes, I do have my own practice, and luckily I have a great support system there too. And so it all works out, with the support at home and the support at work. I am able to balance it somehow. Sometimes it requires a lot of time. I think for me, definitely sleep is not, I mean, I can sleep 6 hours and the rest of the time I'm working or doing something that is it definitely work, but it's fun work, at times. Like when it came to the fashion shows, I was definitely at nighttime sitting in my bed and and making sure that I was concentrating on that particular aspect. So and fitness. I mean, my passion is fitness. My passion is dance. So those come easily. But there are times when I'm out of the picture when it comes to events, that are happening just because I'm so focused on what I need to complete or what I need to do for the platform, that those things, sometimes it doesn't happen where I'm not out and about everywhere just because I need to focus on my goals, with BollySoulFit. So
No, that's beautiful. So it's basically what you're teaching us is, knowing what to say no to and being very clear about what's important to you. And whatever is important to you, how is that helping someone along the way? So that's a beautiful way to connect the dots and share with someone. So thank you for that as well. So tell me a little bit about some of the behind the scene challenges that you have because you're dealing with a lot of women. There's a lot of group dynamics you're dealing with because there's expectations that you have to meet, and I'm sure you'll have your own inner critic as well, trying to tell you, Payal, you need to do more. So how do you navigate things like that, Payal?
I think sometimes it's definitely, again, very challenging, when it comes to that. I thank my parents that they've instilled this factor where I always have that inner critic. When my mom used to be like, well, why didn't you get 102 instead of 100? And of course, always making sure that, I was educated. And they definitely supported my dance because I have done Bharatanatyam, and all of that along the way. So coming to now in terms of, just balancing everything, it takes a lot, when it comes to that particular factor, and so, but I think um, it always comes with that challenge. There are always going to be people that may not be supportive or there may be envy for whatever reason. It was never meant to be that way. It was meant to be like everybody, let's get together, let's be a community. Come support me, support yourself, and that's really what the goal is. But not everybody may see it that way. I've heard things like, oh, you're always away, or I've heard like, do you even work? Things along those lines where it's like, okay, really, are those comments necessary? It's called a balance that I have created for myself, in order to support the BollySoulFit platform. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to balance it, and sometimes it's hard, but I am doing it. So most people will cheer you on, which is amazing. The women that are out there, everybody that I meet, hey, you're doing an amazing thing, continue on your journey. And that's really what you want to hear from the community, and say that, yeah, you are definitely a motivational factor. And that's all I want, is hearing that instead of the negativity, which, I'm good at usually deflecting it, or or saying that this is not the way that it's supposed to be, and people are going to be that way, and that's totally fine. I hope that most people will jump on and the bandwagon and not be envious, or not have a negative, voice. So
Yeah, so it sounds like you're choosing what voice to listen to, what
yeah,
voice not to listen to,
positive,
what to
all
quieten.
positive. So that's all I want is positivity. And I think the universe, I always think the universe will always give you back that positivity because you're putting it out into the community, and so you tend to just put a shield against the negatives, and you just continue on your journey. And I think that's that inner strength, that inner voice that says that, no, you need to do this because it is helping you as well as helping other women around you that might be looking for that motivation. So,
That's awesome. Nice to hear that, Payal. So I want to touch a little bit. I think we talked about this as far as challenges. When you run a platform like this, you have to constantly reinvent yourself. And we talked about, how do you keep the women engaged? How do you provide a different experience? What does the community need? So tell us a little bit about your thought process around that and how do you keep reinventing and keeping it fresh for the audience year after year?
well, yeah, it's always the question is what's next? What's happening next? And what are we going to do for our next retreat? So I definitely have my thinking wheel. I mean, the thinking cap on in terms of that, and the wheels are definitely turning. When it comes to all of that, I would definitely call myself adventurous. In terms of just trying new things. I think I do get bored, at times. So of course I'm always reinventing my own self, or, trying to figure out what do I want to do next that I can involve everybody else in. And that's really, where it happens, where it's like, okay, are we going to skydive next year, as BollySoulFit? So that's like the bigger goal. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this, but it might be something, it's a challenge to myself, and who better to do it with than the ones that, I'm motivating me back. So
Right, right. So, Payal, at the end of the day, can you tell me, like, all these things that you're doing, and you're trying to reinvent yourself, you're trying to do something different. Like, what is your deepest why behind all of it? Like, what do you hope for every woman that can take away from being part of your community?
I hope every woman lives it up, and I hope that they fulfill their dreams. I hope they don't let other voices hold them back, and whether it's their own family, whether it's friends, or whether it's, it's their inner voice. I hope it changes for the positive. And I know many women afterwards, they're like, "Oh, how do you do the flying dress, or how do you do these photo shoots?" And I tell them, I said, "That's my time. I literally go in the morning before my family wakes up if I'm on vacation with them, and I do it." So it's really do it, I mean, come on, you have one life to live. As we get older, we have less and less time. Make it amazing. And that's really what I want to, put out there, is make your life amazing, whatever it is, whether it's just meditation or yoga, or a book club, or, or fitness or dance, or just go out there and live it up. But don't forget, your responsibilities, be accountable, but also say, yes, I am happy inside with what I'm doing. And that's really my goal for everyone.
Wow, that is incredible. And it feels good, Pyle, coming from someone like you, because a lot of the women want that voice that they can anchor themselves in, to be able to step up and say, hey, I'm allowed to. Because a lot of women hold themselves back because they feel like they're not allowed to. So it's almost like your platform is giving them wings to go fly.
Yes.
And that's so refreshing that you're doing all of this. And I hope what you're doing inspires other women to go out and do what, explore their creative side and offer what gifts that they have that they can bring to more than just their family, right? I think that's basically what you're trying to say as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether it's art, whether it's music, whatever it is that you want to, and that's Bali Soul Fit. It's not just dance, it's not fitness, I mean, it's retreats, it's everything else in its element. And I hope that everyone can join, and nobody should feel like, oh, I'm excluded. It's never been like that. I want them, I want the women to come to me. There are times when I get asked and like, well, I didn't know about this. How come you didn't tell me? Well, it's not that way. It's supposed to be, I want to do this. I'm going to approach Pyle, and we're going to have this happen. So if you tell me, oh, next time when you're doing this, please let me know. I would love to be there. Most definitely. Nobody is excluded. No, it's an inclusive platform. So I want all my friends, my family, the community that's out there to be involved in this, and I'm glad, like Poonam, you've always been there. And it's amazing to see, and thank you for coming to New York Fashion Week. That was great. So and I think that's really it, even when they were doing the background for BollySoulFit for the screen, and they gave me something very plain and basic. I was like, this is not it. This is not Bali Soul Fit. And so I decided to put the Sedona video, which was, that was awesome that it worked out that way. And I think that was the universe talking back, and also the quotes that I put up there. I was like, this is Bali Soul Fit. It's women empowerment, and putting the models up there, because you know what? They went through a journey. It wasn't just they were up there. No, 6 months of transformation. They were There were, souls that lost 30 pounds to 10 pounds to 15 pounds, but they worked at it. And that's what the platform is, that you work at yourself, you can change, realizing that. And that's what I really want to, make sure is put out there, that yes, if you come to BollySoulFit, I will make sure that you do your best to be your best. So that's the goal.
No, and I'm really glad that you put those pictures out there. I can tell you as an audience how I felt watching this show. I mean, I had chills, like, I could feel the love and the warmth and the care that you've taken with all these women to support them. I still get chills when you talk about it. So I'm like, wow, this is incredible that you're touching people at such a deep level. And I really hope you continue to keep doing this. And for women who not necessarily haven't connected with you, how do you, what would you suggest is the best way to connect with you?
Come and connect, whatever way it is that you want to reach out, and that's totally fine. Maybe I will connect to you at a 5% level, or maybe at 100% level. It doesn't matter. Hopefully, just connecting that much, meeting me at Garba or whatever it is, hopefully I was able to exude that positive energy and be able to give them that, whatever they needed, as is really the goal. I mean, even Poonam, with the vision boards that I do, it's also bringing that vision into picture, when you're seeing that it does happen. And for women to realize that, which is usually every retreat has a vision board, because it's like, where do you want to go with your life? What do you want to do? Whether it's writing a book or reading a book or writing, poetry or dancing or taking trips or going to Everest base camp, whatever it is, that you want to do. If you write it down or you have photos and you keep it in front of you, that's your vision. You're seeing it every single day. And I'll tell you this, Poonam, it's funny because when I do my workouts upstairs in my, in my media room, I have two big paintings, and the paintings became, I guess that was my vision. I just realized it the other day. I was staring at New York and I was staring at Paris. And I was like, oh my God, and both of them, it's a photo that it has wings on it, and which, basically symbolizes fashion, at times, of course, we know that. So it became my vision without even knowing it, that that's what I was staring at every time that I was working out, is exactly those photos. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Payal, for pouring your heart out and sharing so much with me, or with all of us rather. This is something beautiful to take with you, because, as Payal just said, your vision is where your life direction is headed. And part of the visioning board exercise helps you clean things out so you have clarity when you walk through and live your dreams. And when you do it with a supportive community, it amplifies, everything that you want to do. And you have the blessing of all the women around you. So that's what this community provides that. Payal, thank you again so much for being here, sharing your heart, and sharing the beautiful message behind this powerful mission with Body Soul Fit. It's inspiring basically to witness how you've blended your passion, your profession, your cultural roots into something that uplifts women. And to everyone listening to this conversation, if today's conversation moved you, gave something for you to reflect on, or simply remind you of your own power to reinvent yourself, I invite you to connect with Payal. Also, please feel absolutely, Payal. And then I invite you to subscribe to the podcast as well, leave a review, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it the most. And again, I want to thank you again, Payal.
Thank you, Poonam. You're doing an amazing, amazing job yourself. This is your platform, and I am there to support. So, everybody that has a platform and they're going somewhere, all the positive energy to you, and a lot more to come. November, we're trying to put a whole conference or a day together. So, I'm hoping that you'll be definitely there, and all the women will be there as well. And it's going to be amazing. So, looking forward. Thank you so much, Poonam.
Absolutely, Payal. I'm looking forward to it as well.